lecture number 6 in our course about project management beyond agile. So I'm trying to present you the project management basics, which you may need if you are a software engineer or potentially a team lead or potentially a CTO, VP of a company, or maybe a founder of a company. So this management will be definitely required in order to achieve a certain level of success. The course is called Beyond Agile because we are trying to go further and above and beyond the traditional understanding of project management, which is definitely defined by the name agile. So people invented this agile paradigm, agile methodology, agile principles, set of principles. I guess maybe 15 years ago, 20 years ago, I don't really remember. And they introduced that as an alternative to a traditional project management. So people were managing projects for years, for decades before that, actually for centuries and maybe for thousands of years. This is how everything which we see around us actually were built, starting from the pyramids, maybe if you believe that they are built by people, and up to everything which we built before people who invented agile actually suggested us to do it differently, to do different project management. So these things, they existed before, and people were doing traditional project management. Traditional means that that we have a plan, and then according to the plan we have certain resources. We allocate these resources in front of us. We ask these resources, which are in most cases people, and not only people, but that could be resources like financial resources. They could be some mechanisms. So we allocate all of this according to the plan. So we tell these people what to do. We control them. We ask them to deliver what they promised us to deliver. We do something with those people who don't deliver, and then we finally get to the finish line. The agile people suggested that we have to do it a little bit different. So we have to give more freedom to people. We have to do more flexibility to allow. That's how I understand agile, to allow the team and the resources, which are the team, to be more flexible in the definition of what needs to be done. So the agile said, "Hey, let's give the power to the team instead of planning what the team has to do, instead of covering the team with the extra control and asking something that is mandatory to do. Instead, we just let them freely contribute to the project because they are honestly and by definition, I think the right word here is honestly. So they're honestly would love to contribute. They feel the need to do what they do. They understand that the project needs to be done. So they feel the pain of a customer who doesn't have this product. So they want to make this product, and then they just move forward and they join with the customer uh, in the in a team. So they make a team with the customer. They resolve all the conflicts sitting together and not kissing each other, of course, but shaking hands and all that. So they're about the agile people. They believe, I think this is the core belief of agile methodology. We believe that people are by definition, they would love to contribute. I'm giving you this course as my own understanding of project management, and my understanding is not really doesn't really go along with what agile methodology preaches, what they believe is true. And in the resource management, which we're going to discuss now, this is lecture number 6. This is the resource management knowledge area or process area in the PMBOK, where they tell us how to manage people. Well, in our case, you are the software development area and software engineers, so people are the main resource for us. If you would be, let's say, doctors, or if you would be the builders of the houses, then the resources would not be the people, the main one. For you, the main resource is people. You will manage people. You will be managed. You will be the resource, and you will be managing resources. So this is actually one of my favorite topics in the project management. So why I was telling you all this, in order to warn you that everything you're going to hear in this lecture is my personal opinion, which may contradict or will definitely contradict with what you may hear from the agile camp, from the people who preach agile, who believe in agile. I believe in quite the opposite ideas. So be careful. So don't just apply what you hear in this lecture immediately to every company you work in, because you may get into trouble. So let's start as usual with 8 questions. So take your block notes and start writing. Try to give me 8 right answers, and then we go as before, explaining what's right, what's wrong. One of your programmers is lagging behind. So apparently, you see, one of the programmers is not really an agile programmer. So he is or she's quite he's lazy or something. He's lagging behind. We don't know, lazy or something. No contribution from this guy for more than 3 months, like zero contribution. So there is no commits, no code, no contribution to the team. Who should be fired? Quite provocative question, but still try to give an answer. We fire this guy. We fire you as a project manager. Both of you should be fired, or nobody. We just move on for the reasons which we may have. Give me your answer honestly. Imagine you're the real project manager. Today you got into the project and you start managing. So that's the real situation. What do you do? Not you. What do you think the management of you should do? Maybe fire you. Question number 2, you want better engagement of your team into the project. So you want your team to be engaged more. So what is your best instrument for that? So how do you do this? So you say you have a people around you who are your resources. Not one of them is lacking behind, but the whole team is not really engaged well. So they're lazy, they're not interested, sort of that thing. So how do you do this? First one, you give them some fun. So you tell them how interesting it is. So you maybe different sorts of fun, but you give them fun. Second option, you give them challenges. So you give them different tasks, which potentially will motivate them to be more engaged. Appreciation. So you start celebrating the achievements. And final line is money. So you just give them money. Choose your option. Number 3, 2 programmers argue in front of you in the office. So they don't fight, they don't hit each other, but they argue. So there is a conflict in them. Your job as a project manager is to 4 options: to silence them down. So this is your primary job. So you just silence them down to make sure it's quiet, because it's an office. You don't allow them to fight in the office. Option number 2, you find a compromise. So you see what's in the middle and try together with them, find a compromise. Number 3, take one side. So you just take you're right and you're wrong. So in the fight, it's possible to take one side, which you may do as a project manager, as somebody who is responsible for the whole team. And you encourage the fight. So you provoke even bigger fights. So you tell maybe somehow, it depends on of how you may encourage it, but still it's an option. Question 4, a programmer says that she failed her task because her cat was sick. She had to spend the entire day in the hospital with the cat, supposedly. Will you punish me? She asks. What do you answer? So she didn't complete the task, probably the deadline, something that she promised she didn't do. So then she asks you, will you punish me? So will something bad happen to me? What do you answer? Answer 1, let's ask the team to decide. So you sit together with the team, because you're one team and you don't want to make this decision alone. So you suggest to talk to the team. Option 2, of course not. You have a reasonable excuse. Come on, it's a hospital, it's a cat, so we may take this situation into account. So you may answer like that. Number 3, this time I won't, but next time we'll be more responsible. You must be more responsible. So you kind of emphasize the fact that it's not really good to miss the deadline, even though the cat is in the hospital. We don't know how to, we don't suggest anything, but you still say that. And option number 4, why do you ask me? Maybe that's also, you're confused. So why she's coming to you with this kind of a question. Number 5, a programmer asks for a raise, motivating it by the fact that he has built the entire payment module and now only he can maintain it. What do you do? Let's say payment module is some piece of a software in the entire system. So this programmer made this module and asks you to take this into account, that he's now in charge of this module. This is very important. So only he can maintain it. So what do you do? And that's why, give me the money. And actually, I saw this situation in real life a few years ago in a company, in one of the companies which I was working in. Exactly this situation happened. So the guy came for asking for more money because that was the motivation, the explanation. Like, look, I'm responsible for a very important piece of a software, and only I understand how it works. I created it. So it seems that you can pay me more. Option number one, you fire him. Uh, Maybe. Option number two, give him and everybody a small raise, him and everybody else, so that nobody will be, probably nobody jealous or something. So you give all of them a raise. Number three is you promise him a raise. Just promise. Yeah, maybe a few months. Just wait for a few months. And option number four, give him a raise and even a bonus. So give him even more money because this situation looks like maybe a reasonable situation. Because yeah, that's a payment module, so the entire business depends on this module. We don't want to lose this guy. That's for a fact, and we don't want to lose his motivation. So option number four is also an option. Number six, you join a team where morale is low. So people quit, no enthusiasm, they gossip, the rumors, they just talk to each other, they don't really write code. It's really low morale in the team. It happens. And you join it. So it's not your team. You didn't build it, but you join it as a project manager. So you have to do something with it. So what would be your primary focus? So what would you focus on? The primary thing to do. What would you do? First, organizing team building sessions. Get together in a restaurant, sit together, talk to them, like make friends. That's the first step before you do something next. Second option, you're sorting out the backlog. So you look at the tickets they're supposed to work on. So you see what they're working on and try to sort it out to understand who's doing what. Number three, you hire refreshment. So you basically start replacing them. So these people are no good anymore because they are tired, they have no enthusiasm. So you just immediately start looking for refreshment. You go to the job board, you go to recruiters, so you try to find new people. That's another option. And number four, you fire mood breakers. So the people who are the troublemakers, the people who are the most unmotivated. So you just fire them. And then the rest of the people will supposedly, probably, we hope so, they will work well. Option number four. Seven, a good programmer that you can't lose comes to you with a 2x job offer from company X. So 2 times more money. So he just comes to you and say, you're the project manager. He comes to you and say, I'm getting this amount of money here, but they offer me twice as much, 2 times more. So what would you do? Asking for a raise. So he says, you give me that money or I go. So they kind of blackmail you. First option, let him go. Bye-bye. And pay attention, the programmer who you can't lose. Pay attention to the question. So you can't lose this guy because everything depends on him. So a lot of things depends on him, not everything, but he's an important person in your entire project. Number two, negotiate, paid 1.5. So increase his salary 50%. So make a negotiation. Number three, try to bully the company, the competitor, to make them call off the offer. So maybe you know them, maybe you can contact them, you may contact them, maybe you somehow tell them that, hey, don't hire my key person because tomorrow I will hire your key person. And they may call off the offer and then everybody lose. It seems so. And you give him a raise. Give him what he wants. 2x, okay, I'll give you 2x. And final question, you notice that the programmer is watching YouTube while the deadline is approaching. Actually, this question I took from my conference speech, which I was given, I think, 3 years ago at a project management conference in Russia, where I asked exactly this question. Just every word is here the same. And I asked the audience to answer that question in order to check how well they understand management or how well our understanding of the management, their understanding and my understanding are at the same page. So now you try to answer it. So you see the programmer who is sitting in the office and watching YouTube while the deadline is approaching. So you have to deliver something in the next few days, but that guy is watching YouTube and you are the project manager. What do you do? Option number one, you fire him. You can understand the reasoning behind that. Option number two, you ask him, what are you doing? Before you fire him or something. Actually, option number three, you talk to him later. So don't make a scene in the office. Don't make a trouble and a scandal and a conflict in the office. You just talk to him later and find out what's going on. Or option number four, you join him. So he's watching YouTube, so you join him. Maybe there is something interesting. Now I will give you the right answers, as usual. Let's start with the first one. One of your programmers is lagging behind, no contribution for more than 3 months. Who should be fired? In general, when we talk about managing people, when we talk about project management and the people is the main resources and you are the project manager, It's always your fault when they don't work, not their fault. It's always you. If something goes wrong in the project, especially with people, you should be fired first. If we're talking about firing, of course, this question is exaggerating the situation. So we don't want immediately to fire. So maybe the closest answer is something like this, the closest to the right one. But if we really want to fire, then we fire the project manager. So project manager is the person who takes the blame. We always keep it in mind, this formula, that if you want to be a good project manager, a failure in the team is your failure. A success of the team is the success of people. So when something goes right, we celebrate and give the name to the celebration, to the success. So the success has many names. The failure has only one name, it's you. So always this question is, I ask this question in order to explain you this concept. So blame yourself. If something goes wrong, if they don't work, it means you didn't configure the team well. You didn't give this guy enough motivation. You didn't give enough money. You didn't give the right tasks. You didn't control them earlier. So look at this. The no contribution for more than 3 months. What were you doing a month ago? You see the situation right now when 3 months already passed, and now we're asking the question. So what do we do? It's all because of your failure. You didn't configure the team. You didn't configure the project management in the group. That's why the guy was actually lucky enough to do nothing and get the money. So I believe that during these 3 months, the person was getting the salary. So I would say that in this case, actually, my question was originally, I didn't want to write who should be fired. I wanted to give a few options. And one of the options was to give him a bonus. So I think in this case, the right answer is to fire you and give a bonus to this guy. So this guy is so smart that he outsmarted your system, which was so weak. So you configured the system so improperly that people can do nothing and get the money. So that's a very bad project manager and very good programmer. So he was doing something else during these 3 months. Maybe he was working on another job. Maybe he was working on his own project at the same time. Maybe he was, I don't know, reading some books, reading some papers, maybe studying some new technologies. So he was using your money to do something good for somebody else, not for your project. So he basically was able to steal from you, from the project, and you supposed to be the guard of the project. You're supposed to control that so it doesn't happen, and you fail to do that. So if I am a sponsor of the project and I come to this project and you come to me and say, you know, one of the guys is lazy, for 3 months he's doing nothing, I suggest we fire him. I suggest we fire you first, because you was allowing this guy to steal my money for 3 months. See, that's the idea. Let me read your questions. One, Arsene is saying, probably you should have fired him before you're going to be fired. Well, that's a good comment. Exactly. So if you're a good manager, then you, before you get fired, you fire that guy. So do something with this person who is stealing from the project. Maybe for good, like I said, maybe it's a good person, like he just see that the project has no future, for example. He sees that nobody is doing anything useful in this project. Maybe he sees that nobody is actually contributes to the project. So why should I? Why should I do something if I see that this project has absolutely no value to nobody? We just have money from the investor, which is stupid enough to invest into that kind of software. So we understand that in like by the end of the year, the project will be closed. So, okay, I'm going to sit here for another 3 months and I will study a new programming language, or maybe I will write some open source product. I will do something for the humanity, for people. I was in this position a number of times in my life. I was that kind of a guy, the programmer, where the management was weak. They were not able to catch me. So I was doing something good for somebody else, using their money, using their resources. So your job is not to allow this to happen somehow. Of course, the worst instrument you will use is to fire the people who do this, because, like I said, these people are the smartest. So they do something. They understand the weakness of the system. They're not just doing what they're being told. Okay, the project is stupid, the project management is weak, we have no future in this team, but still, I'm a good guy, I'm going to continue writing code even though it has no reason, no meaning at all. That people are not really good contributors. I would fire them first. But people who find the weaknesses in the system and contribute, they are the good guys. the strongest, the potentially the most. These guys require the good project manager. They need a good project manager. And actually, I sometimes make this metaphor, how to say the metaphor, something like that, where I compare. Imagine you're in a war conflict, and you have soldiers. So you have soldiers who are two groups of soldiers. So imagine you have a group of people who are young soldiers. They are afraid of everything. They just joined this battalion. They don't know how to fight, but they're ready to do whatever you tell them to do. That's one team. And another team, they're professional soldiers who fight for the last 20 years. They've been in many war conflicts, and they really smart. They really can do what they know what to do. So there are two different styles of management. So these people, they will be very difficult. The second group will be very difficult to manage because they will see weaknesses in you. They will see that if you don't manage them right, if you don't tell them exactly what to do, if you don't motivate them correctly, if you don't pay them correctly, they will fight, first of all, against you and then against the enemy. The same for programmers. So if you don't configure the team properly, if you don't motivate people, if you don't encourage them to work, if you don't give them the proper rewards, if you don't punish them correctly, if you don't fire them when it's necessary to fire, they will see that you are the weakness and they will fight against you. They will not do something for the market. They will not fight with the enemy on the market, with the competitor, with another product, but they will fight with you. They will take your resources and they will cheat on you. They will lie to you. A lot of ugliness will happen in the team. So that's it on this subject. I believe you understood my point. Another question: 3 months is more than enough to find out and react to his inactivity, isn't it? I believe 1 week is enough to understand who is who. 1 week should be enough for you to understand who is working and who is not working. This is how you should configure your system of rewards and punishment. Your system should be very reactive. It should be very sensitive to the behavior of people. It should not wait for 3 months and only then understand, wow, yeah, for 3 months this guy didn't do nothing. You should configure it to be extremely sensitive to small contributions. So you ask your programmers and you encourage everybody to make small micro contributions every day. Even though they're making something difficult, they do some very creative work, they still need to do micro contributions every day. Pull requests, tickets, commits, some changes in the code, some changes in the documentation. And then you track all of that. You track how much they contribute and you see the metrics. You must put metrics on people. Your resources, which are people, must be measured. Their performance and productivity must be measured every single hour, not even day. In this case, you will be able, you're not going to be wait for 3 months. You will be able to understand who is who in the next 5 days. And then you make your decisions. Then you make corrections. Preferably, it shouldn't be you making the decisions. It should be the system making the decisions. It should be like, like a traffic rules on the street. So we don't have policemen standing on every street and telling us that we violate the rules. We have semaphores, we have cameras everywhere, and we have electronic system which punish us when we break the rules. These rules, they were configured many years ago. And now the people who configured that system, they are dead already probably. So they configured it like 100 years ago and they're gone, these people. But the system keeps working. The system keeps punishing us for the wrong behavior. And the system keeps encouraging us for driving well. So that's how you should build in your team. You should build a system which will punish people and reward people automatically. So they don't come to you with the question, like you're going to see in the next few questions, like with this lady who came with the question about the cat. So my cat was sick, so will you punish me? Of course, the answer is like, why do you ask me? It's like you coming to the policeman and saying, you know what? I was just driving on a red light. Will you punish me? He's going to ask you like, why you ask me? Of course, you read this in the manual. You know, if you got the driving license, you know that the red light leads to punishment automatically. You don't need to ask the police officer for the excuse, asking, I had a good excuse because my cat was sick. That's why I was driving on a red light. No, sorry, you just get a ticket for that. You pay for this violation and maybe we take away your license. We don't care about your cat. They're just the rules. You have to do the same in your team. Second question, sorry for keeping you so long on this one. You want better engagement, so you want people to work more actively. So what is the best motivator? So the best answer, definitely the right answer is here. But don't take me wrong. I'm not talking about. I don't think that people work purely for money. I don't think so. I think that we programmers, software engineers, we work mostly for this. Mostly, this is the ideal motivator for us. Ideal, ultimate motivator. So if you have fun, then you will be in this project forever. You're not going to quit. So if you have people who work with you and they have fun, that's the perfect ideal formula for that. But in order to achieve this, you need to go from here to there. So you need to give them proper money, then you give them appreciation, then you give them challenges, and only then the fun will show up. So the primary motivator, the number one, this is probably, you probably know about this pyramid of needs invented by one of the psychologists of, I don't know, maybe 100 years ago or something, Maslow, who suggested that people have different levels of needs. So first of all, we need money. It's like, let's say, level 1. Then we maybe have level 2. Then we have level 3 and maybe level 4. I'm not exactly sure that this is the exact order of levels, but the main point is that people, first of all, they need to be able to cover their basic needs. So if your team is not properly engaged, it means in most cases that they don't see the connection between their results and the amount of this monetary return coming to them from the management. So that means that if let me reformulate it. In most cases, when you see that there is not enough engagement, according to my experience, it's something to do with the connection between the contribution that people make and the rewards they're getting back, or the punishment. So remember, we always get rewards and punishment together. So don't take them apart. They always should go together. So I know that this is the reward and this is the punishment, which if I don't contribute properly. So this connection may be broken. And in many teams, it happens. In many teams, this connection is broken. Many teams make mistakes in either this or that way. For example, they don't give enough rewards, they give too much punishment. Or they don't give enough punishment, they give too much rewards. Either case is a trouble, is a problem for a team. So you need to balance, you need to keep a proper balance, and this connection between contribution and reward must be as instant, as direct as you can make. So it's not like we work for a whole year and at the end of the year we get a bonus. This is the worst mechanism of motivating people. They're not going to wait for a whole year. They don't know why they give them the bonus. And most likely by the end of the year, you're going to give the bonus to everybody, not to offend anybody. So this annual bonus is what companies do because they cannot configure a more fine-grained mechanism of motivation. So they cannot connect money properly to the contribution people make. So they basically cannot configure the metrics of how to measure the productivity of every single programmer. And because of that, they just say, you know what, we just give the money by the end of the year because we all work great. It's a great team. We all love you. You contributed so much. Thanks very much. That's the money to everybody. Maybe a little bit to the senior programmer, a little bit less to the junior programmer. It's only demotivating because people will see that the company, the management is weak, is incapable, incompetent. The management doesn't know how to measure my productivity. So I work the whole year. I try my best. And at the end of the year, my management basically says, I don't know what you've done and I don't care what you've done. That's your piece of money. Go away. That's the message. Is it really motivating me to continue to work in this company? If I don't see other options, maybe yes. But you will motivate your people much more and give them appreciation, give them challenges, give all of these three things if you connect money to their contribution every week. By the end of the week, you come to every programmer and say, I know what you've done this week. I know these tasks you completed. Here's another $5 to you, or 5 cookies to you. And there is 3 cookies to your friend, and there is 0 cookies to another friend. That's how I understand your contribution this week. See how you do it next week. Next week we get together and I give you different number of cookies. So the people will see, oh, my management is so smart. The manager really cares. The management really took a look at what we are doing and actually paid attention to everything. Oh, that's amazing. I'm interested to do more because I want these 5 cookies. Even though these cookies make nothing, maybe they're just small amount of money, but they will be way more motivated to see this connection with the management. So the disconnection, first of all, leads to, we actually discussed on one of the previous lectures, I told you that the best project manager is the one who can tell everybody in the team how much who is making. So if you can do this, you're the top level, the best project manager you can ever dream of. If you can announce to everybody in your team how much who is making every month, every week, every day, and nobody will be offended. Nobody will be, because they will know that this information, this money is based on real metrics, the real information. Think about it. If you do this, you are on top of everybody else as a manager. Next question. Two programmers argue your job as a manager is to... This is about conflict resolution. Also very interesting topic, very big. We can talk about it for hours. So your job as a manager is to resolve conflicts, and people do have conflicts. So they fight. They fight with each other. Of course, they don't fight physically, but verbally, on the technical level, most of these fights must be correct, must be polite, must be with the proper level of respect to each other, but they happen. These fights, they happen. If there are no fights in the team is not moving forward. So remember that the conflict is a driving force of any growth. We grow because we fight. We grow because we fight with each other. We build something beautiful, because we had a conflict, what is beautiful, what is not. We cannot just alone, just one guy, sit down and create something beautiful. It should be a fight with other people who will argue with this person, who will disagree with this person. And with these disagreements, going through the fights, through the conflicts, we finally get to something which is definitely beautiful. So the conflict is the foundation of growth, foundation of creativity, productivity, growth, everything. That's like fundamental truth. Keep it in mind. So if you have conflicts in your team, it's great. If you have peace, it's stagnation, it's degradation. Your team is not moving up. So you need, if you see the fights, perfect. Now what to do with the fights? So we don't want to get them to get ugly. We don't want them to be unresolved. So we don't want the argument to continue. We don't want the argument to stay for too long. We need a fight, resolution, conflict, solution. That's how we continue to grow. If we just, if the conflict goes for too long, then it becomes destructive, because there's no solution. So why do we need the conflict? In order to get solution. If you're not getting the solution, it's just, we're just waiting and waiting and waiting. So finally give us something. So stop fighting, find a solution. So how do you help them? The right answer is this. So even though it sounds a bit provocative, but this is the right answer, and the next right answer is this one, and the next right answer is this one, and this is definitely the wrong one. So the first option is, if you see the conflict, and if you know that the conflict goes to the resolution and gives a solution in the end, so you encourage it. You actually say, hey, there are two people fight. How about we join another person there? How we make the fight even bigger, so that they help each other. So they in this fight, they will born something interesting. So the solution will get out of this conflict. So we need, and a resolution by the compromise is a defective solution. There's a term called, maybe you've heard about it, win-win strategy. So win-win means finding a solution, finding a resolution of a conflict, which is good for both sides. But some people mistakenly believe that win-win means compromise, but that's not true. The compromise and win-win, it's completely different things. Compromise means that you get not what you want, and I get not what you want. That's a compromise. So let's say I want to watch a football game, and you want to read a book. So what do? We cannot do it together at the same time, because we're in the same room. If you read the book, then my TV will not, will be uncomfortable for you to read the book, and the other way around. So what do? Compromise means that we say, how about we both go to the coffee shop and then get some coffee and take a walk in the park. That's a compromise. So it's not good for you. You wanted to read the book. And it's not good for me. I wanted to watch the football game. So it's bad for both of us. We both lose. So the compromise means lose, basically. But not a big lose. So of course we didn't kill each other in this fight, right? We didn't stop being friends, but we lost a little bit. So you lost the opportunity to read the book. I lost the opportunity to watch the game. Win-win means that we find a solution that is actually good for you and is actually good for me. Maybe, for example, we say win-win means, how about I watch the football game together with you and I will explain to you why this game is so exciting. So I will give you some knowledge about the game and you will love this game. And then after that, you give me the book and show me what is so interesting in your book. And I will also read the book, maybe this one or later. So you will give me some help in understanding why you're so interested in the book and not in the football game. That's win-win. So it's good for you, good for me. So we find this solution because we were fighting until we find it. We were not aiming for compromise. We were not aiming to shut down the conflict. This is the worst option ever, is to silence them down. It's just, please calm down. So when the manager says, please calm down, this is the bad manager. Just remember that. A good manager says this: hey guys, let's fight. It's so interesting. Let's find out what is really so interesting in this football game. Why he so much wants to see it now, and why you want to reach this book right now. Please, guys, fight. I want to see how you fight, how you want to argue with each other, how you will prove that the game is interesting and the book is interesting. Eventually, you will find a solution. But if I tell you, hey, please stop fighting, calm down, keep peace, stay quiet, what do we get? Lose lose. It's bad for both of them. So a bad manager silences people down, a good manager encourages the fight and maybe take one side. So this is not a bad option. Answer number 3, you may take one side if you already see that one of these guys actually is right. So maybe you see that the book reading is definitely better. For example, you're the parent. So if you're a parent, you have 2 kids. One kid is trying to read the book, another one watch the football game. In this case, you may do so-called win-lose scenario. Lose, win, lose. So win-lose is this. Take one side. So you just come and say, you know what? You're not going to watch the football game. Why? Because I say so. So I'm the parent. I have the authority to do this, or I'm the project manager. So you stop fighting. The conflict is over, but you lost. No football game for you. That's it. No argument with me. Now you don't argue with this guy who reads the book, with your brother, but you argue with me, with your parent. It's not really good, but win-lose is much better than a compromise, because compromise is lose-lose. This is the worst option ever. You never do this. You always either go for this authoritative style, so-called, so you're like a dictator, you say, do it my way, or you try to do win-win. Win-win is the most violent way, is the most damaging, because you go through the conflict. You really let the people fight until they find a solution. So you don't stop the conflict. You say, keep fighting, keep fighting. When you find a solution, only then you will stay, only then you will stop. But you have to be really strong for this, to be a project manager, to handle this possible negativity in the office. Of course, your job is to maintain the respectfulness of these fights. So you need to teach your team that when you fight, you respect the people who you fight with. So you never use rude words. You never stop the conflict by saying, hey, I'm not going to talk to you because you clearly an idiot. So you completely prohibit this kind of words, these kind of speeches. So you encourage them to fight in a polite, positive, and respectful way. Always trying to explain your point and prove your point, but you need to grow up the culture of conflicts in the team. So you train people to fight. You train people to discuss and argue and put the arguments on the table and convince each other. This will be very constructive, will be very productive for the team, and will yield a lot of fruitful results for the entire project. There is a comment that holy wars are fun to attend and more fun to observe. Yeah, but these holy wars, they're not leading to a resolution. And that's what the long conflicts are bad for. The conflicts should be short. You start, respectfully find a solution, stop it. The solution goes to, applies to life, and we continue to find another problem, and then we fight again. Let's move on. I hope I explained it to you. Actually, there are tons of books about conflict resolution. You can Google for it and find conflict resolution techniques. Read about it. You will read probably something that I told you, maybe something more, but definitely more. There are many techniques of resolving the conflict, but basically they're all based on this win, lose, 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 win. There are 4 options, from lose, lose to win, win. That's the principle of how we resolve conflicts. Everything else will dance around it. Question 4. Programmer says that she failed. That's a story about the cat, right? So who will you punish me? Of course, now you understand the answer. Now, the right answer is 4. So why do you ask me? We have a system in the team. We all know when we started the project, long time ago, when we started driving cars, we all agreed that there's a red light. The red light is that you don't cross the crossroad. You just stay and wait. If you cross, we're going to give you a ticket. We're going to take your license off because it's hurtful for other people. You cause damage to other people. When you move your cat to the hospital, we understand your situation, but you cause trouble to the project. So pay the punishment somehow. Maybe amount of a salary. Maybe we deduct something from you. It depends on the situation of the project, but we agreed about it long time ago. Why are you coming to me now? It's only an indicator of the bad management, the manager who didn't explain everybody what will happen if you fail the deadline. You should do it on the first day of the project, not when the cat gets sick, not when she has to go to the hospital. Because in this situation, it's very stressful for the person, stressful for her. She doesn't know what's going to happen. It's very destructive to work in the team like this and then go to the manager and say, hey, please don't punish me. You disrespect people this way. If you don't tell them in the beginning how they will be punished, you disrespect them because they will live with fear during the entire project. They will not know what will happen if they do something wrong. And this fear, you don't need that. It's bad for people's mood. It's bad for their productivity if they don't know what is the punishment. And most managers do it exactly like this. They just agile managers. They just believe that everybody will work great. They believe that everybody wants to contribute and don't want to care about their cats, which is completely wrong. Of course, the cat is more important than your project. So of course she will go to the hospital with the cat. Of course she will break the deadline. Of course it will happen. But talk to her about this in the beginning. Assume the reality. Most agile project managers, they believe in fantasies. They believe in some utopia that people care about work way more than they care about cats. It's not true. And if you respectfully explain them how much money you will take away from them when the cat gets sick, there is no problem. She will see that the cat is sick. She will know exactly how much money she's going to lose if you don't show up in the office for the whole day. She will decide whether to go to the hospital, or maybe she will call somebody and pay somebody some money so that person will go with the cat to the hospital. It will be normally made decision by an adult person. No fear. She's not afraid of you as a project manager because she knows what's going to be the punishment. So don't be afraid of the word punishment. Many people dislike some of the content that I write about this on my blog about project management. I very often use the word punishment, and very often people try to scratch it out. They try to it happens on different levels. They just don't feel this is right. They just say we don't punish people. It's bad. We don't do that. But in reality, we do. In reality, we have to punish people. Otherwise, we cannot manage the team. So there are rewards and punishment. But if you make the punishment invisible, if you make the punishment subjective, if you make it implicit, so people don't know why it happens, they don't know how these decisions are made, you only increase fear in your team. You only cause troubles to the team. You do nothing good. Instead, be strong, be brave, talk about bad things in the beginning of the project. Talk about failures and decide how much we distribute the trouble among everybody. We fail the project, how much all of us will suffer. I even have a blog post which is called How Much Do They Suffer? So if you go to my blog and search for this, try to find how much do they suffer. So the question is, this question means that the project manager must translate the suffering which will be happening to him when the project fails to other people. So you know that if the project fails, the company will lose $1 million. Distribute this failure, this suffering, this trouble to all the people like in proper pieces, and tell them about this. Explain to them that, you know what, when the company loses $1 million, you personally gonna lose this, you will lose this, you will lose that, and then see how many people will work with you, how many of them will stay with you. And these people, if they stay, they are the people ready to take the responsibility and ready to work with an open eyes, knowing exactly what's coming. Most people will say, no, 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 I don't want to know what's going to happen. No, 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 no. Don't tell me about the project will succeed. It's not going to fail. No way. We don't even want to think this direction. That's only illusion. That's only feeding the illusion of people, and then in the end, lying to them. Don't do this. Okay, question number 5. A programmer asks for a raise, motivating it by the fact that he has built the entire system module and now has to maintain it. So it's the story which happens so often. I told you I had this in real life, in a real project. I had one programmer who exactly told that, and he was right. And you know what the management did? The management did this. So they gave him a raise, and they actually said, "Yeah, we don't want to lose you," because the management realized that that tomorrow he may come to ask even more. So or maybe he will not even come and talk. He will just quit. So instead of waiting for that, the management just covered the risk, and they said that yeah, we give this guy more money up front, or the bonus, so that he stays with us. Of course, the right answer is this one. The right answer: we fire people like this. So when people, the programmers especially, when they work with the intellectual property, which is the software, they accumulate knowledge. It's called knowledge silos. That's the key word. So they become the knowledge silos, so-called. They're just accumulators of valuable knowledge in the company. So they know what something works. And the more they know, the more they accumulate, the more trouble is there. The bigger is the time bomb which is ticking. Eventually this bomb will explode and the trouble will be big. So we need to prevent this from happening. And it's not only the job of a project manager to prevent this from happening. A programmer, if the programmer is professional, if the programmer cares about the project, if the programmer is really honest in his intent to do good for the project who gives the money to him, he will not become the knowledge silo. He will not become the accumulator of knowledge. He will spread the knowledge. He will understand that tomorrow he may die. I mean, anything can happen. He may quit, he may die, he may get to the hospital, anything. So he understands this risk and he does not accumulate. He shares, he writes documentation. So the good programmer, I would react to number 4 if the programmer comes to me and say, you know what, I created the payment module, but I documented it so well and it's so maintainable now. So please move me to another task. I don't want to work in this payment module anymore. I want to do something new and see from a distance how this module being supported by other programmers, and maybe I will help them. But please move me to another position because I don't want to be the knowledge accumulator anymore. In this case, the answer will be 4. You give him a raise, you give him a bonus. That's a good programmer. But in this case, a really bad, unprofessional guy who cares only about himself, professionally, personally, on different levels. He comes to you and blackmails you. How do you answer? If you're the strong project manager, you fire to make an example to everybody else. So don't blackmail us like this, and don't become the knowledge silo. Don't accumulate. Of course, it's going to be a trouble for you. Of course, if you fire him immediately, you're going to lose the information about this module and blah blah blah. So you don't do this. So maybe you can do something like this: small raise. No, sorry. So you do this one. You can maybe promise him a raise and say, okay, I'll give you the raise, and then eventually fire him. But that's, again, this is a solution for not such a strong project manager, but I want you to be strong. So you need to be prepared. In this case, when this happens, it means you're not prepared for this. You didn't investigate this situation earlier, so now it's too late. Of course, firing now, it's going to be a big damage. But this is the right move. So in general, having people, holding too much knowledge is basically begging for trouble. So for you as a project manager, you need to avoid this. And then I also put another keyword here: turnover. So turnover is when people go out of your company and new people come in. And managers, most managers, classic managers, or maybe agile managers, which you may say different things, but in this case, I would say that it's just a common belief that turnover is bad. So everybody will tell you that if the team is losing people, and the people go and people come, people go and people come, it's not good for the team because it hurts the team morale. It means something is wrong with the project manager, something is wrong with the team. So we're doing something ineffectively. Maybe we don't pay them enough. Maybe the project is not interesting. I don't believe in this. I believe the turnover is good. So if people are being refreshed, if people move on and in and out, then it's very good for the product. So we people, we are, and please accept this with, please, please take this, but I think you're prepared for this. So we are people, we are replaceable resources in the project, just like, I don't know, just a hard drive or a pencil. So we are the same as this. We're replaceable resources who the project use, take our knowledge, take our skills, and let us go. What we work for is the code base, is the product, not even the customer. Customer is also a replaceable resource. A customer is something replaceable. A sponsor, customer, a user is something responsible. What is not responsible, what is forever, is the asset we create, is the product we create. This is something which will serve people for many, ideally, for many years forward. So we all contribute to the creation of something for the humanity, for people. The customer brings the money. Okay, thanks for you. The programmer brings the code. Thanks to you. The designer brings the UI interface design. Thanks to you. The user uses this product, it brings the user experience and goes away. All of us will go away eventually. So we are not as valuable as the asset we create. That should be the mentality in the resource management. So all people are replaceable resources. So holding them in the team and believing that our key value is the people is totally wrong concept. Our key value is the code base. Our key value is the architecture, the schemas, the diagrams, the papers which we create. People is a temporary resource which must be replaced. And more often, the more often you replace people, the stronger the asset becomes, the main asset, the code base. Why? Because every time new people come, they will look at your code base with a fresh perspective and they will contribute with improving it. Of course, if you configure properly the testing mechanisms in the code base, the unit test, the automated style checking mechanism, and the static analysis mechanism, and everything. So if everything is protected against chaos, we can talk about this maybe in some other course, but you need to design your code base, your digital artifacts, the way that they are well protected against vandalism, against changes that break it severely, like damage it. So then you can change people. New people will bring new perspective. They look at it from different. They say, I don't understand why this code is written this way. I don't understand this documentation. I will improve it, and I will improve this. And here it's not documented why this payment module is written in this programming language. How about we explain it? Maybe rewrite it. It's only good. You only improve the code base. If your team is stable, if the turnover is low, then there's going to be a degradation in the quality of the key asset, of the digital artifact that you're creating. Because people will know more and more, they will be smarter and smarter, they will be more and more knowledgeable about this artifact, and the artifact will become less and less maintainable, less and less understandable by external people. So losing these resources eventually will become a terrible problem for you if you hold them for too long, if you keep your team for too long in the same status, in the same configuration, eventually you will have to lose the team, and that may lead to a really severe damage to the entire code, to the entire project, because when they quit, what you have in your hands, what the customers have in their hands, what the users have, is an unmaintainable piece of code, which is only understood by the people who quit. So turnover is good. A good project manager will encourage the turnover. And will always think, how can I fire the bad guy? What should I do for this? How can I find the worst guy in my team? What should I do in order to this worst guy to quit the team? We will talk about this in a few minutes, how you fire people. So you need to constantly think about refreshing the blood. This is your blood. The blood is temporary. The blood is going through the veins and then it goes through our body, and it constantly gets refreshed, constantly replaced. So the bad blood goes away, that the clean blood gets generated. You have to do the same in your team. You always have to think how to get away the bad blood, how to get the new one. So how can I find resources on the market who are better than my people? Constantly question yourself. How can you replace your people with even better people? So don't stick to people personally. I mean, they're your friends, of course. I'm talking now about business. On a personal level, you don't need to stop being friends with these guys. These people go and they can join another project later. Projects, they're also temporary. The projects, not the assets, but the projects. Today we work together in one setup. Tomorrow we go to another setup, and you call these people back. So you should. We're going to talk about how you fire people. So you should do it professionally, so that you don't lose relationship with these people. So you don't fire them with a fight. You don't fire them you don't cause troubles to them. You don't blame them. You don't make it personally. You make firing correctly. But constantly think that the resources must be replaced. The blood must be coming, the new one, the fresh one. Don't stay with the same team for 5 years. That's a totally wrong setup. It only means that the team stops working. The team is degrading. Degradation of quality will definitely happen. I hope I'm not scaring you too much with this with these messages. All right, question 6. Then we have 3, and that's it. You join the team, the morale is low, people quit, no enthusiasm, gossips, and all that. What do your primary focus? Primary. What do you do first? Well, actually, this is quite aggressive solution. So you fire the key people who cause the trouble. It may help. On a very short term, it may help. If the situation is really bad and you see the people who are really telling other people that the team is bad and the project is boring and the salary is low, so maybe you can fire them, maybe. But this solution definitely not going to give you a good result in the long run, because when you fire these guys, immediately the people who are listening to them, one of them will become the mood breaker, will become the bad guy. That's not a good idea. Hiring refreshment, maybe it's better because you will get fresh blood. They will come in, they will not know what's going on, they will believe that everything is great, but also you understand, eventually they will find out what's going on. They will talk to these mood breakers. They will understand that the situation here is not perfect, and you will get even more people who are not happy. You don't want that. And this one is a lousy solution. You will only demonstrate to your people that you are trying to solve the big problem with a very cheap solution. Because getting them together and going to the restaurant or going to some team building, I don't know, some funny game on the forest and getting them together, you're only trying to buy their good behavior with a small amount of money. So you pay a little bit for this, you or the sponsor of the project, you take some money from the budget, you give them a little bit in order to shut their mouths. So don't talk bad, don't badmouth the project, because look, we're friends, we're good guys, so it will help you for 2 days. After 2 days, you will need to make another team building. You will need to be another bribing them with this money. It's not going to help you in the long run. The right solution is this. So the key problem why this happens, why this is, in my opinion, the main cause of the low morale is because people don't know exactly what they need to do. So it's weak management. So you tell them, do the right thing. Let's do together the programming, but you don't manage them. You don't hold them under control. I mean, not them, but the project. So you don't hold under control the timeline. We discussed about this, the time. You don't hold under control the scope. So you don't know what are the tasks exactly. You didn't break down the scope into pieces. You didn't explain them how you get the rewards for the completing the scope pieces. You didn't discuss with them who is responsible for each piece of the scope. You didn't define the success criteria, the completion criteria for each piece of their work. So they don't know exactly what to do, and that's why they start talking, they start bad-mouthing the company and talking behind your back. That's the number one reason. So don't try to solve the situation on the social level, dealing with them as humans and trying to understand why they talk like this. It's not important. They just do it because it's a side effect. It's the result. the root cause of this is because you didn't tell them exactly the task they need to be done, and you didn't punish them for not completing the task, and you didn't reward them for completing this task. Start doing that. Start telling them tomorrow, by the end of the day, your job is to complete this piece, and if you don't do it, you lose $5. If you complete it, you gain $10. Come to me tomorrow at 5 o'clock. If you don't come to me, you lose $20. And see what happens in 5 days, in 1 week. The whole situation will change. People will start understanding, okay, this is management is here. So we either work or we just quit. And then some of these mood breakers maybe quit. But in my experience, in many years of experience, these mood breakers, they will become the best workers. So they were bad guys because they are the most active. They are the most enthusiastic. They are the most energetic. And when they see there is no management, they put their energy in a bad direction. They start effectively and aggressively fighting with the management. They're not openly telling the management, they're not quitting, they're not leaving the company because they still want to get the salary. But they are trying to sabotage everything. They're trying to blame everybody around and say that this is company's garbage, we shouldn't work here, but they don't quit. So they stay, they get the salary, and they blah, blah, blah. These people, exactly these people, in most cases, when you start managing, when you start giving tasks day by day, effectively controlling the timeline, controlling the milestones, then exactly these people will become the best performers because they will just rotate to the opposite direction and put their energy into the right way. Everybody will win. So you will be happy you didn't fire them because they're effective and aggressive, and that's why effective. Understand? 2 more questions. A good programmer that you can't lose, remember, you can't lose, comes to you with a big offer, job offer from another company and asks for a raise. What do we do? This is the story about firing. I wanted to tell you how you should fire people, how should it happen. In my opinion, even though you may now seem it quite surprisingly, is that the right answer is this. So why I think so? I think in general that you shouldn't fire people at all. You should make their life impossible in your project, and they should quit by themselves. So when you need to fire somebody, when you need to have a discussion with somebody and say, I'm not happy with your performance, I'm not happy with your productivity, please do something, or I will fire you, or you just don't like somebody and then you fire, then it's bad management. The right management, you configure the situation in the project in such a way that the bad blood will leak away automatically. It will be just not suitable for them anymore to stay here. How? For example, you configure the setup in this project that you pay for the contribution only. So you stop paying salary. You pay only for the code they write. The more features they implement, the more money they get. So you pay, I don't know, 100 rubles or some money for each feature. So people who don't deliver any features, they will be unhappy, but they will not blame you for that because you just set these rules together with everybody. You just discuss it with everybody. It should be done in the beginning of the project, and of course you can do it also in the middle of the project. I'm just giving you just an extreme example right now to explain what I mean. Make their life difficult. So you just configure the rules the way that people who don't contribute, the people who you don't like objectively, not personally, not because this person, I don't know, is dressed up the way you don't like that the way she or he dresses up, and that's why you say, come on, we need to get rid of this person. No, you only measure them by the contribution. So you set up the rules the way that the low contribution will be extremely discouraged, extremely devalued. So the person will get little value back from the company, small reward, as small as it is, so the life is impossible. So you, eventually, by the end of the month, the salary will be zero. Who will stay in the team with the zero salary? They will come to you and say, I'm quitting, I'm gone, I'm gone. You will say, all right, what can I do? It's your decision, not my decision. You decided to quit. So the decision for quitting, the decision for firing should be made by people, in my opinion, not by the manager. The manager jobs is to see why the bad blood is still here. Why we still have in my body the blood which is not perfect for my body. I'm not going to catch this blood personally and try to take away them piece by piece. No, I'm just thinking, why? How did I allow this to happen? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with my system of appreciation, my system of rewarding, my system of punishment? Something is broken. So I fix it. How do I fix it? I stop rewarding for nothing and I stop punishing for misperformance, for underperforming, and then I stop rewarding for overperforming. So I do something. And then people will just quit. So if in this situation the person comes to you and says, I'm going to get more, and you know that he's still here, so it means that the system is not so the system is not rejecting it. So the system is not for him configured, is not configured the way that he will quit. So in this case, maybe I'm a little bit contradicting myself, but here I think that we give him a raise because we are interested to keep the good guys. So obviously, if he comes to me with a big offer, it means that this person, this programmer, this guy is of a high value, and probably we need to keep this guy. So maybe my system. So this will be the indicator for me that my system of rewards and punishment is not perfect for the current situation on the market. So I will give him a raise and I will lower not the salaries, but lower the money, the salaries of how much I pay to lower people, to less qualified people. So this will, in situation, will trigger my restructuring of my motivational system. He comes to me and says, your system of motivation is misbalanced. It's not according to the market situation. People like me, smart people, are getting 2 times more. So it's a signal to you, restructure your system of motivation, pay more to people like me. And it means pay less to people who are working less effectively. So I will immediately, unless of course it's just a complete blackmailing and I just see that the person worth nothing, but we're talking about maybe, and you can't lose. So you see the programmer is of value. So we know that this guy is valuable. We know that he's important. He's doing good job. So that's why that's what the question says. In this case, we say, it is my fault, my system is not designed well, that the good guys are deciding to quit. So I need to rebalance the system. So in general, again, remember this, I think, fundamental concept, which I try to stick to, is that you don't fire people. It's wrong. When you start firing, it means you make subjective decisions. It means that you personally come into scene and start playing there as a dictator, as a decision maker. It's wrong. The project manager should not be the decision maker. The project manager should be the architect of project rules. I told you about this many times. The only thing you work with is rules, not directly the people. You're not the mentor. You're not the motivator. You're not the leader. Forget about all these titles. You are the builder of rules. You're a lawmaker who is sitting somewhere in another room and not even talk to people very often, maybe once in a while. But you constantly observe what people are doing. You observe their metrics, you observe their performance, and you decide what's wrong with our rules. Why people drive on the street so chaotically, and why we have so many traffic incidents. How do you fix this? You don't go to the street and stay there and say, hey, don't drive this direction, drive this, be more careful. That will be the manager who is doing so-called micromanagement, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes. You don't be the micromanager. You don't talk to people but to resolve the situation. You just see, oh, they drive wrong. There's so many car incidents on the street. What do? We change the rule. It is not allowed to drive 60 kilometers per hour inside the city. It's going to be only 40 kilometers. You don't touch the drivers. You don't argue with them. You don't talk with them. You don't lead them. You don't mentor them. Forget it. For you, they're just resources, just nameless resources who just drive cars. You just look at what they do and you see, I think the right way would be to limit the maximum speed inside the city. You do it and you observe the situation now. Now you see, in a few weeks, the number of accidents on the street goes down. Good project manager. Who will ever know how did you do? No, you never talked to any of the car drivers. You just made a new law. The same should happen in the project. You should just change the law according to which everybody works. Let me read the question and then we go to the final question. Maybe, oops, it's too much text from you guys. Maybe I misheard. Will a raise make his stay? I think usually the environment is more important than the salary. He may even not go if you provide a comfort to work with a small raise, though. Well, about this money and the comfort, about what makes people more happy, it may be right. You may be right, but still, the guy came to you with the money question. So he doesn't come to you and say, I don't like the project, or I'm not comfortable with the team, or I don't see enough challenges for me, or I'm too bored with this technology. I don't want to work with this programming language anymore. He's coming to you asking specifically about money. He says, I want more cash. So obviously his motivation, his primary motivation is cash. So give him cash. So actually it would be not reasonable to say, you know what, I cannot give you cash, but I will give you new project, I will give you new interesting team, I will give you new challenging tasks. That will be a cheap move. We don't do that. He wants money. And the professional programmers, they care most of all about money because everything else they will generate automatically. If you're a professional programmer, you just money to be given to you from the project. You don't need challenges, you don't need fun, you don't need because all of this you automatically will have there. Professional, strong programmers, they cannot be having no fun in the office. When they work, it's fun for them. They know how to get fun from what they do. That's why they're professionals. And when the management is telling them, we have an interesting team, we have so many team buildings, we have such a great office, you can come to our office with your pets. All of this garbage only demotivates professional programmers. Maybe young guys like who you are, the students, maybe in the beginning of your career, it will motivate you. But the older you will become, you will see that all of this you can get yourself as long as you have money. As long as you pay, as long as they pay you enough, you will be happy with everything else. You will know what to do. You will find challenging tasks for yourself. One more question. I said, the question say, you said when you want to fire a person, don't fire them, make them quit. Yeah. Make their life harder. Yeah. Make the task impossible so they quit. Exactly. And then you said later, you said that I didn't fire you. You quit yourself. It was your decision. This is manipulation. You wanted to fire them from the beginning, and you know that you made everything go in a direction that's going to get them fired eventually. And in the end, when you achieve that, you told the person, I didn't fire you. Yeah, that's right. That it indeed looks like, it may look like a manipulation. So when I see that the person when I see that kind of person, or that I'm not personally want to see somebody get fired, I just see that kind of a behavior, maybe low contribution, not enough encouragement, not enough motivation for the work, or maybe low quality of code, something like this. So if I see that certain type of behavior and the person continues to stay in the team, I don't want to say, please go away because I subjectively already understand that you are not a good fit for our team. We don't do this, because if you do it, you will seriously demotivate other people. They will see what happened. They will see that you subjectively made a decision to fire somebody for some subjective factors, which only for you are objective. But for everybody else, they're not objective. For everybody else, you look like a crazy dictator who decides to fire because that guy dressed up in a long way, because he loves a different kind of music that you love. That's what people will read. They will not understand your logic in detail. They will not be able to explain to them that, you know why I fired him? Because I saw low contribution. No. So you always do it the way that firing must be transparent to the entire team. So the team must understand why certain person lost his job or her job. And to make it clear, you must stay away from this procedure. You must remove yourself from this procedure. Like with the policeman in the traffic. Imagine you're driving a car and you think you didn't break any rules, and another car is driving in front of you. You're all going in the same direction, and then one car, the police car, comes to another driver, stops it and arrests that person for no reason. You don't understand why. The person didn't cross the red light, didn't break any rules, but he got arrested. How much fun is going to be for you? You will be scared. You're not going to have fun anymore on this road. You will see that the police is making voluntarily, making spontaneous decisions, motivated by the reasons who are you not aware of. It shouldn't be this way. It should be obvious and clear to every driver in the street that this guy got arrested for specifically this behavior. And the policeman absolutely has nothing to do with that. The police is not against that person. The policeman maybe is a friend of mine. Maybe the policeman and this guy, they're friends. But still, the law is the law. I still arrest you. What can I do? That should be your attitude as a manager. Maybe it may look to you like a manipulation because inside you believe that the person should be fired, but you pretend that, hey, I'm not firing you. That's the law. Maybe, but think of it on a larger perspective. Compare yourself with the policeman. And also, yeah, firing the person may be hard for law reasons. That's also true. Yeah, directly firing in some countries it may be impossible or difficult, and you really need to have a reason for firing. For example, in America, you can fire anybody without no reason. You just say bye-bye. We don't need you anymore in this project. You can go away. It's one country. In another country, in Russia, for example, it's not so easy. So the law will be actually trying to protect that person, and you will need to prove that that he or she failed certain obligations in the office. One more question and we finish with the next question. How about you gather the evidence to back up your points about why this person should be fired and then present your opinions with the facts and then fire them? Well, it's possible, but when you collect these opinions, everybody will wonder how much you will collect tomorrow. So today you collected this amount of evidence and you fire because of them. Tomorrow you will come to me with another set of evidences. You're going to fire me. So how I'm going to know upfront what evidences will be enough for the future? I don't want to be afraid of firing. I want to be prepared for it. I want to know. That's actually quite a popular question when I ask sometimes I suggest to ask when you get a new job. So when you come to the team and you want to check how strong is the management there, so how good is the management there, ask this question on the interview. Ask them, what should I do in order to be fired? And see what they answer. So if they start telling you stories about, oh, you should, I don't know, do something very bad for the company, then you can ask, do you really, then you can ask another question, how many people you fired during the last year? And they will give you some number. I mean, it's 4 people, for example. And you ask, all of them committed some crime? And the answer will be hard to give for them because nobody committed the crime, but they still were fired. So the situation is that they fire people for no reason, or for the reason which is hard to explain. And this is an indicator of fear-driven management. The management driven by fear. People just afraid they're managers and they continue working. We shouldn't be the managers of that type. Okay, so let me finish it because we have just a few minutes. So now the final question, a little bit of fun. Like I told you, I asked this question on a software conference about 3 years ago. So you see, you go by the office, you're the project manager, you see the programmer watching YouTube. And the deadline is approaching. So what do? How do you react? This is, you'll be surprised, the right answer. So let me explain. And you see the tag that's a micromanagement. Micromanagement means, it's a very popular term, micromanagement means telling people what to do. No, micromanagement is telling people how to do it. So telling people what to do is the normal management. So you tell me to finish the implementation of this feature before the deadline. This is what to do. How to do it is do it, but don't watch YouTube video. This is micromanagement. How do you know what's the best way for me to implement this feature? Maybe I need to watch the YouTube video, and after getting the inspiration, then I can implement the feature. Why do you tell me that I can implement only not watching the YouTube video? Or I should be sitting in front of a computer, or I should be going to the office, or I should be writing in this specific software, or I should be sitting in this specific chair, or I should be committing my code at this specific time of the day. Why are you telling me how? You should be telling me what. So this guy is actually in most cases a good guy. So in this case, you just join him. Maybe he's watching something interesting. Maybe you can also have some inspiration from this code. So you trust your people. You trust that they want to commit, to do best, and you punish them when they don't. This is the right management. You trust them that they will do the best, do the right thing, and you tell them what will happen if they don't, and then you leave them alone. They want to watch the TV, they want to watch the YouTube, it's okay. They know the consequences. This person already knows the consequences. Talk to him later. Talk about what? He already knows what will happen if the deadline will be missed, right? Because it's a good project management. Because you're the project manager, you're the good project manager. You told him about this already. So why telling again? He will be very surprised. Well, why did you? I was watching such an interesting video. Why do we need to talk about? What do you want to talk about? I know the deadline is approaching. I know my tasks. I know how much I'm going to get when it's completed. I know the reward. I know the punishment. What do you want to talk about? You better sit down and watch the YouTube video. It was fun. I was laughing. So what's wrong with you? Are you a micromanager? That would be my reaction. Yeah, another comment here. So that guy may be watching something related to the working domain. Exactly. Maybe he's watching some educational video. Maybe he's watching some fun to have laugh. Yeah, because he was working for a few hours. Now he needs to rest for another half an hour. So some people will go drink coffee. People will go smoke. And this guy is watching YouTube video because it's fun. It makes him laugh. He knows the consequences. Expect that. Your job as a project manager is to not go around the office and control people. Your job is to sit somewhere far away and control the traffic rules. If you see that he's watching YouTube, you go back to your office. First of all, you sit down and watch with him. That will make close relationship with you, between you guys. You will see that you're the policeman who is also a person, who is also with a normal person, normal human being, also likes to laugh sometimes. But then when you stop watching, you go back to your office, you open your papers, you open your project management plans and rules, and see, did you really inform that person about the consequences? Does he really know what will happen when the deadline will fail? If all of us will fail to deliver on the deadline, how much will he suffer? Oh, you see, he will not suffer at all. He will still get his salary. He will still get his annual bonus. Ah, so you have something to work on. That's your job. Don't talk to him. Start talking with your rules. Start talking with the traffic rules. Think this situation that he's watching the YouTube is the consequence, is the result of your improper management. And you shouldn't talk to him. You should deal with the rules. The rules are weak if he doesn't know the consequences. But if he knows the consequences, leave him alone. So that's all I wanted to tell about project management, about the project management, about managing of people, resources management. I believe I said something that may contradict what you've heard before. Again, remember, this is my personal opinion, so you may hear other people saying different things, but I believe this is the right way of managing people. Be the lawmaker. Don't be the parent to them. Treat them equally. Treat them with respect. They're adults. They're grown-up people. They are equal to you. They know what they're doing. They're capable of managing themselves. They're capable of taking the consequences. They're capable of taking the awards and suffering the punishment. Respect them. That's the principle number one of all the management of people. Respect them. Don't treat them as kids. Don't treat them as people who you need to patronize. That's only bad management. Always believe that you deal with smart, grown-up adults who you respect.